Our last speaker and second keynote speaker of today is Mr. Graham Durgan, chairman of Emil Wolf, the leading provider of continuing professional development, courses for accountants and other financial experts. Mr. Durgan is also an advisor for Asia and international acquisitions to the Group Executive Board of Mazars. But next to that, he's an adventurer. He does extreme skiing, parachute jumping, and he drove around the world in a car with his 19-year-old son. What that has to do with his story, we'll hear it in a second. A big hand for our next speaker.
Hi, good afternoon. Same time, have I got a few minutes to talk and then a few minutes to take some questions. I thought we'd start by taking a couple of questions, if that's okay. As has been mentioned, I have a business. We train about 150,000 accountants a year, all over the world. About 100,000 of those are trained to pass their exams, and about 50,000 of them are trained in the skills they need once they pass their exams. And I think we've got it wrong. Because when we draw a diagram for our clients as to what we think is important, we have a circle in the middle, which is the culture of the business, and I could talk to you about that. We then have what we call the core technical skills, which is a little bit round the outside of that. And then we start to talk about the skills that you need to do your business. And they've got actually not much to do with technical skills. They're business skills. They're the basic business skills that any businessman has. And I was talking to Nick earlier about it, actually. And we were talking about the necessity for auditors to be equipped with not auditing skills, but business skills. Now, obviously, you've got to have the audit skills. You've got to understand the standards. You've got to understand the techniques. I mean, I'm a PwC-trained accountant, auditor. But I'm actually a businessman. And I also chair something called the Non-Executive Directors Association in the UK. And that means that we are responsible for placing a lot of people into non-executive directorship roles, including audit committee chairman. And the one thing I get back from many of the companies we work with increasingly is we do not want CFOs or ex-auditors to be our audit committee chairman. We want people with business experience. We'll get the diversity, we'll get the other people into the board in another way. We'll have them sitting on the committee but not chairing the board. We want business guys running this business. It links back to what was said previously about the need to look forward and not just look back. Now, the audit committee chairman sits on the board and therefore has a responsibility. Companies can learn from what's happened in the past, but they have to look forward. Interestingly, one of the programs we run is all about leadership. We run it not just for businesses like accounting practices. We also run it for major organizations like WPP, the advertising business. And we start, every one of our programs we start, and we say, give us the word. People go, what do you mean? We say, give us the word for selling, say. Or give us the word for leadership. Because ultimately, in this room, if I've understood it correctly, we've got a lot of leaders. So you get this. So what's the word for leadership? I don't want you to BuzzFeed. It's a kind of, just yell it out at me, will you? What's the word for leadership? I'm going to... Trust. Trust is a great word, but not the word. Courage. Courage. Again, you cannot be a leader without trust and courage. Totally agree. Not the words. Example. So who said example? Absolutely right. You have to lead from the front. You have to walk the talk. It's a great word, but it's not the word. Vision. Who was vision? From the very back. Thank you. Absolutely. You have to have vision, trust, courage, example. All parts of being a great leader. Not the word. Participation. Great word. But not the word. Integrity. It's absolutely fundamental, actually. You have to have integrity, particularly if you're going to going to lead an audit practice or lead a business that we're involved in here today. You've got to have that. I'm going to ask the lady in the front because you must know the answer. You? Yes. You just spent 5 minutes telling us about it. No, it's not doing. No, and actually my slight corruption of that is JFDI. But anyway, sorry? Tone at the top is, who was that? Can I just see? Just fundamental. Listening. But not it. Listen, you've got to listen. I'm the world's worst listener, I have to say. But it's something that when we run a mentoring business as well, and we do that Dalai Lama stuff. When you listen, you learn. When you speak, you don't. You're just projecting. Inspiration. No, the word, I'm going to have to stop it, I think. The word is, I'll tell you at the end. I'll tell you at the end. But let me just take you through. I've been asked just to speak for 10, 15 minutes, if that's okay, and then to take some questions, if that's okay. And the reason I actually asked you to talk about adventure is because this I get paid. My son and I produced a book called The Longest School Run. It's on Kindle. Every penny that goes for buying this book goes to a cancer charity which looks after people who are ill. So if anybody feels inclined to do it, please do it. The Longest School Run. Okay, that's why I asked for that to be mentioned. And we've raised $100,000 so far, and we're trying to get to the second 100,000. And this is and it's by my son, so it's not by me. So, more importantly, of course, what's happening out there? Why do I have any insight into this? We train so many accountants, so many of my clients are accountants and auditors, that we have a kind of interesting insight. I chair the Non-Executive Directors Association. I sit on, any Americans in the room, I'm very actively involved in something called YPO. And if you will understand that if you're American and in the room. What do I think is happening? I think the clients, the regulators and the investors, they want choice. I think that's pretty obvious. We've said that already. Right, done. They also want quality. Do they actually understand what they mean by quality? I don't think so, personally. That's my personal view. I think Janine said earlier on, she said standards met on audits conducted. That'll do. But there has to be some sort of measure. What did James then say from the PCOAB? I thought that was quite interesting. He said, we want great standards but a very low price. Or at least that's what the market seems to be saying. He then said, do we need more than that? And then he went on to argue about the role of the regulator in intervening in a commercial market. And the argument, as I understood it, was the public interest, the efficient allocation of capital argument, which I can buy. And then you've got the extent to which there is that involvement and the extent to which the US becomes the policeman for the world type stuff. And that obviously is a debate that goes on perennially. What's happening to the people that are being asked to deliver this quality? It's interesting, isn't it? My view is this. We've got the Big Four. The Big Four are a network. I mean, people, I think, forget that, as I understand it, PwC is 150 separate businesses. By its very nature, to have quality, the quality has to be consistent, but then you've got to get that out of 150 separate businesses. And how on earth do you do it? And the answer, of course, is you become a McDonald's, effectively. You use very tough franchise rules. That's my understanding of the way it works. Okay. Now, if you've got the clients, the investors, and the regulators wanting more choice, that means that actually the more choice probably has to go beyond those Big Four extremely efficient and well-run institutions. Then you get into the next tier. You get into the firms that you'll know, like the BDOs, the GTs, etc. They are also networks, inherently unstable because of the different ownership structures. And how do you ensure, and this is the key word, consistent quality across all of those bits? And the answer is through having very tough franchise rules. But there is this conflict. So what's going to happen? And what's going to happen, in my view, is there's going to be massive consolidation in, in our industry. Huge consolidation. I have taken a view on that as to which bit of that consolidation I want to be involved in, which is why, as Jean-Luc knows, I advise the Board of Mazars on consolidation. But I personally believe that there is going to be, I was talking to Herr Schneider from Germany earlier, and we were talking about HLB, and we were talking about the other networks, the Nexias, the other networks of organizations like the Crestons, the Praxites, the associations, etc. My personal view is there'll be massive consolidation. And why? Well, to make certain that you get the consistent quality running across the piece, and actually to link back to the technology piece, because it's going to take massive investment. My take is that the technology, the data mining process that's going to be required here, the capture of the information and the mining skills into that, and then the drawing of the conclusions from that, are going to take an enormous capital investment. And only very large organizations are going to be able to do it. But the very large organizations that do it will win. Okay. So what do I think is happening in the market? What's going on? Well, we all know about the audit becoming just staying with the PIEs and the OMBs. We know all about that stuff. We know about clients, our clients, even small clients, becoming increasingly international. We know that. So they need the consistent quality because of that. We know that the Chinese are coming. I haven't heard the Chinese today. But you know that if you ask for the big four in China, the big four are not the big four, you'd know them here. At number 3, you've got a business called Reiwa. And very soon, in the next year, there'll be another Chinese business in the big four. And you know, I think, that the Chinese government has said that they're going to build 3 organizations, or help to build 3 organizations of the same size as the big four in the next 10 years. So our audit market is going to change. And if you take my feeling that actually it's going to take massive capital investment and you're going to have to be chunky to be playing in that, I've just given you 7 players. So if you now want to be involved in audit, you're going to have to be a member of those 7, 8, 9. How many are we going to go to? We're going to go to 10? Are there going to be 3 others? It's quite interesting, isn't it? Then we take to the skills that you need as auditors. We started today by I started talking about leadership skills. Personally, as I've said earlier, I've declared my interest, which is that auditors need to be more business people. We are business people, of course, anyway, because we run our own practices. We run our own businesses. We do that. And some of us, some people in the room, have had some very good training, excellent training. But my view on the skills that auditors do is very, I'm sorry to say this, Anglo-Saxon based. Because I believe that auditing and accounting can be trained at university, but should actually probably not be. I believe that it is important to give people who are coming into our profession as wide an experience as possible. My view then is that you can then put them through a set of exams or something after that, and then they'll be better equipped to go through and do some management training and train in other skills, which will better equip them to sit there as that audit committee chairman later on, or in an OMB to provide strategic advice to the manager of the business. Interesting idea. What else? What skills are we going to need? Well, we're going to need language skills. I'm hugely disappointed that I can only speak 1 1/4 languages. Classic English approach to life. Just shout louder. My kids, fortunately, my wife is German, which helps, and the children speak 3 languages, and I think that's a kind of fundamental necessity now to get on in business almost anywhere in the world. I think one of my children wants to be an accountant or auditor. I've tried to dissuade, can't do anything about it. My advice has been, sure, go and get the qualification, go and join Deloitte or PwC or somebody like that, get the brand as well, because we haven't really discussed marketing, but branding does matter. And then go and do something else. And then if you really want to do it, go back to it, because you'll be able to add huge value by that. Nick, we were talking about that earlier today, about when you'd gone out of your business and gone back into it again, you found that that was enormously valuable to what you could add to the organisation. I think that's an issue. Certainly my auditor, if I'm frank about it, I don't listen to very often because he doesn't actually add a lot of value to me. And I find that a shame. I've got a lawyer who advises me, who I really listen to. He comes in and he always looks at something in a slightly different way, and he's taken the time and effort over the years to really understand my industry, and he really gets it. And he can give me real added value. That's what I want from my advisors generally. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. I think that's probably about 15 minutes. The word. I left the word out. The word is? Delegation. That's the Scotsman talking, who's surprisingly sober for this time on Earth. Anyway. The word is change. The word is change. You see, you did use change a lot. The word is change. If you want to lead a business of any size at any time, you have to want to change things. When I went through the INSEAD Chief Exec program years ago, they spent a week telling me, change things. And we said, oh yeah, we're all into that. Oh, we're all into change. Yeah, we change things. And then we realized we'd been coming back and sitting in the same chair for 3 days. So we didn't actually kind of get the change thing. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much. We had some interesting questions for you coming in. Let's have a look.
Oh dear. Sorry. Sorry, I have to put my change and put my glasses.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's have a look at them. And yeah, like the Andrew Collier?
Yeah,
Will the traditional model of a large number of graduates at the entry level suit the future shape of the profession and the skills needed?
My answer to that is yes, but it depends what they're studying. If you've got an awful lot of guys coming in and they're merely studying accounting and auditing and tax and whatever, my feeling is, university to me, I come from an Anglo-Saxon approach, but my children have gone to university in the US and Canada. And I have to say, they learn a lot more there. And I love the way that they have that breadth of experience, that breadth of learning across a wide number of subjects. And I think that that's a much better education. That's my personal view. So when I advise, and I do advise, the people who, because hidden in my past, is I ran a big public company, and one of the things we ran was a big international recruitment business. And when we ran that, and when I used to advise people, like there was the Unilever, I think somebody said they were the audit partner on Unilever. Nick, is that you again? But when we advised Unilever, our approach is get people from a really as wide a diversity as possible. And in fact, I used to say you cut me in half and you find the word change. Increasingly, you cut me in half and you find the word diversity. And therefore, the graduate model, it's something about a large number. Yes, large is fine, not exclusive. And certainly not just from traditional universities. Go out and dip in some pools where you wouldn't necessarily go. There's this kind of taking the blinkers off and thinking about things a bit more. And for me, diversity is, had a blazing row with my children in Italy over the weekend about quotas. But I'm actually personally in favour of quotas because it speeds things up, and I'm getting old, so I haven't got much time.
Let's pick another one.
Yeah.
You got to pick it for me. Well, let's ask the audience which one you want.
What about the PIE against SME audits?
Okay.
Yeah. There's a question up there about different skills for SMEs and PIEs. Personally, the basic skill required is the same, in my view. And I've done both. I used to audit the Bank of England, and I used to audit small entities. That's my personal view. The leadership, I think, is just of that sort of organizer. Major PIE audits, is there's an awful, I mean, Nick, you better talk, talk about PIE audits better than I can, but there's an awful lot of managing major teams effectively. And therefore, and that is another skill. Managing a really big team is different to managing a small team. So there are some different skills in there. But the fundamental skill, which I think is around intelligence, inquiring mind, looking forward, thinking through the lessons you can learn from the past and drawing it forward, I think is fundamental. I remember, actually, let me tell you a story. First audit I ever did it was PwC, and I was out there on this audit for 6 weeks. And we came at the end of the 6 weeks, the guy comes in, who's the audit partner, great chap, and he says, right, you've done all the audit work. And the audit manager said, yes, we've done it all. He said, well, what does the business do? And the guy went, and what's its, what's its keys? What are the key things that you have to understand in about this business? What's going to drive it forward? What's the key macroeconomic things that will make this business? And have they been happening? And it's just analytical review. But I mean, I don't think you need that in SMEs as much as, as you do in PIEs. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Mr.
I'm out of here. Thanks, guys.
Durgan.
Bye.
Give him a big applause. Well, within 1 hour, we'll be sitting at our dinner. But we're going to close this session. And what I could do now is give a sort of summary of what we all heard, but I would like you to grab your Buzzmaster tool for one more time. And would you be so kind to submit your key takeaway of today? What's your key takeaway? And try to write it down in 1 or 2 words. So really keep it short. What do you take with you from this afternoon? What are your key learnings? What are your insights? And Monique will change the screen. Okay. Oh, we're in the other screen. It's typed into, well, we're still in the questions or comments for Graham, but okay. The audience is too quick for us. Key takeaway. Do they have to type it again now? Okay. When can they punish you, Monique? Okay. Oh, there they come. You're a great audience. Okay. Well, let's have a look at your takeaways of this afternoon. What were your great learnings? That it is about change. Change has begun. Change, technology, enthusiasm to embrace. Okay. John Capper, where are you sitting? John? Here? Oh, sorry. Enthusiasm to embrace. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do we have to embrace?
Sorry, it said enthusiasm to embrace change more quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, change, but can the profession lead the change? Yeah. Jan Thijs Drupsteen. Innovation, not be afraid. Well, and there's the word cloud. Okay, this is about change. Peter, was that your takeaway of this afternoon as well? Change? Was it about change today?
Yes, to a certain extent, yes, although I said that we need to run faster and more intelligently.
Okay, that's a lot of words. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for day number 1. I think we had a great afternoon. And I would like to meet you in 1 hour, and in this little booklet you can find where to be and what the dress code will be like. I thank you for being here this afternoon, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening, and in case we don't see each other tonight, we'll meet each other again tomorrow morning at 9. Have a nice evening. Thank you.